Right next to the Vape Chest dungeon, one of the best dungeons in Elden Ring, is the worst and probably most hated place in the entire game. I'm talking about the Oriza's Hero's Grave, which will surely spark some memories for many of us. And that is exactly why I replayed this infamous Work of the Devil to share my experience in another episode of Dungeon Crawling. Before I jump in, I do want to point out that to further show how evil this place is, it is guarded by a rune bear. Do I need to say more? I'm incredibly lucky that thing didn't instantly go for me and my loved ones, but I was probably too busy munching on some fellow tarnished. The dungeon opens up in typical Hero's Grave fashion. Big tomb-looking building with tiny door and overly long elevator. Even the first room of the dungeon looks similar, which I for one appreciate as it gives me a familiar feeling of agony and despair. Maybe a little hatred as well. Ahead of me was a stone key room with death-spewing Pepe frogs, that is some foreshadowing, and a golden epitaph, a weapon I don't think I've ever used for more than 15 seconds. But that is about all of the safety I get to enjoy before it was time to see what this grave has to offer. And I get a feeling it involves chariots. I really hope it doesn't involve chariots. Well, it involves chariots. But hey, I learned a new trick from the comments, not like I made a video on it when the game came out, smiley face. Seriously though, this trick makes this entire place a lot more bearable, which is very, very much appreciated. I gotta say, I might have peed myself a little when trapped between the chariots like that. Elden Ring relaxing, pff, yeah right. This is when I quickly got to learn that the hitboxes of the chariots are not really the best. On top of the length being weird, what really will turn out to be a danger here is being below them or being behind them, as the hitbox extends a little further below and behind. Making my way up the slope, which is clearly not intended, I made the realization that around the corner is just another massive slope with two chariots next to each other. I want to go home. Jumping down this time, I get ambushed by multiple death frogs in exchange for some flour, which is really not cool as those are very scary even with this long of a resistance bar. Further in there are 3 more of them and then 2 more right after. You get the idea, they placed it everywhere here, it's wonderful. The death bar was almost filled up many times and honestly, maybe it would not have been so bad. Especially when having to dodge and weave between 2 chariots that move at different times. But it is the little things that make this kind of stuff worth it to me. At this point, I had one major question left and that really confused me. Why have you not liked the video yet? Anyways, sorry. I was once again trapped between a chariot and a hard chariot. Being stuck here is when I saw the boss door past the last chariot. Already? Could I already be done with this place? Well, yes, the door does actually open, like it usually does in Hero's Graves, so I could indeed just go in and be done. But what kind of video would that be? Might as well cheese the dungeon with Margaret's Shackle and run through. Couldn't be me on literally any other playthrough. So I went exploring to solve the mysteries of the dungeon. The only way to explore here was right next to the boss door. There were some very small wooden beams below me that I could fall onto, and then 2 paths to go from there. Lining up the falls is a little tricky though. I had a good time with the frogs, but making it past them gave me ashes for the 511 men that we all love so much, so I guess it paid off. The ladder after that is annoyingly long. I think I know someone that would really like a ladder like that.
Your mother trucker!
And it leads me back to the main room? Well, was that a secret? Spoiler, no it wasn't. I made my way down the wooden beams yet again and went to the other way, which turns out to be a much longer path. Here, I was forced into a tight hallway with a single chariot moving very quickly above me. There was something on either ends of the hallway, so I made my way down first since it looked like a door from afar. Down here were some skeletons, and a little further in was an omen guarding an item. This omen was scary because his breath was so bad, when he breathed out, it procs death blight on me. Dude must have had whole onions for breakfast. I fought him while making sure to stay away from his breath, and once I was done, I picked up the Crucible Feather Talisman. A talisman that increases roll iframes by 6, at the cost of taking 30% more damage. Do I think this is useful? Not really, but it's nice to have. The elevator after that took me to where the top of the hallway would have taken me, a room with a flame pillar. I made it here legit, so I had the honor of hitting it myself. Doing this spawns a holy ground in the big double slope room, which destroys the chariots once they touch it, and magically, by intimidation I assume, makes all of the others disappear too. Very cool mechanic that rewards you with a pretty good armor set and Ash of War. And that is all for the dungeon itself. Now it's time for the boss fight. The boss is... Double Crucible Knight. The sole reason this place is remembered, and not for how fun it is, trust me. This is hands down the worst fight in the game, even after the slight shadow nerfs the group bosses got recently. You get attack while parrying, right after a riposte, the attacks overlay, the input read when you try to heal, the list goes on.
Because he's passive.
None of this was okay, so I was gonna be here for a bit. But then it finally happened. I did it, and the rewards are Ash. Oh, never mind, it's actually not half bad. So yeah, never again, 4 out of 10 though.